Different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake
technology
of it.
Technology increase, I would hide behind it.
Then you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes.
Because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovese, and we're happy that you're joining us today as we go live on LinkedIn, as we do every single week, Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And we hope you're catching us every single week. But if you're not, go to masterconnector.show and see who we have coming up, because Steve books amazing guests, people who are bringing their skill sets, their stories, their experiences, all in an effort to help you level up, because this is the Master Connector Show. And look, Steve and I are two former shy guys, two introverts really still, because it's an energy thing. And we've overcome that shyness. We've overcome that fearness of talking to people. I was paralyzed. Steve he's got a couple of black belts in different martial arts disciplines. He'd hit you in the head sooner than talk to you. I would just run away. We come from two different places. But look, we knew we had to connect in order to be successful in business. And that's what the idea is here. You know, we want you to be a connector. We want you to be a master connector so that you can be able to do that. And so listen, go to masterconnector.show. If you can't make it every single week to see us live here, go to that. Check out who's coming up. Bookmark your calendar for the person you cannot miss, that you need to hear from in order for you to level up, to play the game at the level you need to play in order to win. And so listen, it is the Master Connector Show. Steve and I go back 27 or so years. We've known each other a long time. Sometimes I wish we could play a video of us way back when, so you know, if you're not really winning at the level you want, there is hope for you. But listen, he is the Master Connector. Please bring him on, Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
Wow, you have no idea. I mean, if you're listening to this, you have no idea how true that is, how clueless we both were. And yeah, but what drives you forward, right? Like Rob says, right? And you know, one thing that we have in common is that we were driven to succeed, and whatever that means to each of us is, I mean, a little different, but success for sure. But I appreciate you, buddy, in a major way. Thank you, Robert G. Well, what's going on, everyone? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. So here's the question, right? So what does it truly mean to live with intention, vision, and purpose? And how can aligning those three reshape your life? You know, it's interesting because for me, I've learned to live on purpose, right? Live life on purpose. And part of it is because you have to know what your vision is. You got to know what your purpose is. So I like to say live on life on purpose because you have a purpose, right? And so back in the day, and by the way, I want to welcome Russ Hedge, incredible friend of the show, as well as sponsor, and also Anthony Cialio. I'm butchering your name. Sorry, Anthony. A friend of mine, he's on here, and Michael Z, MZ. Good to have you on here with us as well. And Abigail is in Abigail. I think I'm saying your name right. Sorry, folks, if I butcher your name. Apologies. You're important, and I know names are incredibly important to people. So apologies on that. But anyway, it's amazing. And so what I was saying before is, you know, I live life on purpose, intentionally, you know, with intention. And so, you know, I was on a podcast recently, and, you know, they were asking me about, you know, communicating and networking and connecting. And, you know, I say, you know, I was challenged, as a lot of you know, I was challenged to meet 3 strangers every day, which is terrifying if you're from the New York area. It really is. But I did it and still do it to this day. And so I'm the crazy guy, because my goal is to meet 3 people, which has transformed my life, by the way. I'm the crazy guy that actually looks at when I go join a gym, I'll look at the busy time at the gym and I'll go that time. Rob's thinking I'm probably crazy for that. But I'm the guy that looks at the lines at the supermarket, and I pick the long one, okay? Because I want to be around people, and that's how you connect with people. If you're not around people, you're not going to connect with them. Now, by the way, as Rob alluded to, being a shy guy, a former shy guy, an introvert, I'd rather not be. The core being of Steve is to not be around people. But to be honest with you, and I've learned this now, and it's taken some time just to get into this noggin of mine, you need people to be able to succeed, and I thought for years this would be a great place and this world would be great if it wasn't for people, right? But no, that's not how it works. You have to really get around and connect with people. And again, like Rob said, this is the Master Connector Show. But so me having a purpose, having a vision, which they're similar, right? They're definitely similar. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But having a vision, and I put together a vision statement, a mission statement for my life recently. It was right before COVID hit, and that also has been a major transformation for me. I believe that having that purpose has driven me from a standpoint of doing things, that are hard for me, right? But I think truly having that vision and that mission statement where it's in my core, it hits my heart and my soul. Those things that were perhaps hard to do are now easy to do because I have a real reason, a passion behind it. So I encourage you. Hopefully I believe this show will be a catalyst for you in your success journey, and take what's being talked about by Jennifer today and apply it. Don't just listen to it, but apply it. And hopefully, to Rob's point, you're coming on every Wednesday. It's not a have to thing, but in my opinion, these kinds of things, it's a get to, not a have to, but a get to. You get to go. And so, hopefully we want to have you in the comments. So get in there, talk about, where you're from, connect with each other. It is the Master Connector Show. But anyway, let's get into it. If you're ready, community, type in the comments right now, hashtag let's go, and I'll turn it to you, Robbie G.
All right, thanks, Steve. Let's go, everyone. Jennifer Jehl is on a mission to empower men to reclaim their vision, intention, and purpose through the lens of traditional masculinity. After hitting rock bottom as a toxic people pleaser, she set off on an incredible journey of self-discovery that transformed her life. This experience ignited her unshakable confidence and helped her uncover her true purpose. Jennifer is passionate about helping clients operationalize their masculine traits in ways that fit their lives. She equips them to tackle daily challenges with clarity and strength. By championing the importance of traditional masculinity, she aims to mend the fabric of a society that has lost its way. With a coaching style that blends authenticity and compassion, Jennifer inspires men to embrace their true selves, tap into their inner strengths, and build meaningful legacies. Please welcome to the show, Jennifer Jehl. What's up, Jennifer?
Hi, thanks so much for the intro.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Honored to be here.
You are amazing, and you're bringing a posse of people with you because these are some people on our show that we don't normally see. So it's really cool to see. By the way, awesome. I want to welcome my sister Eileen. Amazing having you on here with us. Jerome, I don't think he's ever been on a show. Love your style, picking the biggest, and the line is super. Okay, I appreciate that. Daniel, new friend of mine. Great to have you on here, Daniel. Of course, Russ Hedge checking in with some great value. Got to connect with Russ for sure. And then Mitundu, I think I might be saying it right. Looks like might be a connection of yours. And then, of course, I don't. If you're not connected on LinkedIn, I think there's it shows up user, LinkedIn user. But and Anthony, of course, on here, and we've got some people that are speaking Spanish or Brazilian, or maybe that's Portuguese. There's no Brazilian, Portuguese. Anyway, we're getting a lot of stuff here, so appreciate it. I'm going to try to get to your comments, but let's go. And Jennifer, it is such a blessing to have you on here. I know we booked this out a while ago, so just appreciate your patience. Yeah, but we're excited. So let's get into it, right? In the beginning, we were talking about vision, right? And you got to have a vision. Man without vision will perish, right? I know that you're a masculine coach, so that's a relevant statement, so to speak, right? Let's talk about it. So how does having a clear vision help guide your decisions and keep you focused when life throws you a curveball?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things that I notice about people, a lot of the people who come to me are struggling with experiencing a life of mediocrity of sorts. They don't have any kind of direction or way in which to go. They're just kind of numb. They're doing great, but they just feel directionless and kind of purposeless. And so one of the things that I like to do with my clients is to get them situated with their vision. And so we kind of first assess every single thing about their life, their relationships, their spirituality, physical health, mental and emotional health, and everything in between, legacy, free time, hobbies, all of these things, professional lives. And then we and this is like a very deep dissection. And then we determine what is the most greedy but realistic version. What is the next level we can get to in all of these different things? And we kind of play around with that. And then from there, you can take goals, habits, routines, non-negotiables, which is one of my favorite things. All of my clients have to have non-negotiables. And different communication approaches. When you have this vision in sight, it keeps you in line with those goals. It keeps you aligned to the path that you should be on, so your decisions become easier. We all struggle with decisions and discernment. It's a very hard thing, but if you already have the bullseye that you're going for, it makes your yeses and your nos very easy, very simple.
That's awesome.
You know, I mean, Jennifer and I have not met, audience, Jennifer and I have never met before. And I just met her earlier before the show started. And I got to tell you, everything you just said is kind of like you were reviewing the earlier part of my life. I was so clueless. And one thing I did have was this tiny bit of a vision of what I wanted my life to be like. And when I say I was clueless, I mean, scared, couldn't talk to people, very shy, into my 30s, by the way. And unable to really make anything happen. I was trained to be a graphic designer, so I could sit behind a computer and not talk to people and just do that. That's the only skill I actually had. But that vision that I had for what I wanted my life to be like, which would not be possible with that career path, changed everything. And so what you're talking about in terms of vision made the one thing that I had in front of me for me to go, I got to get there. Now I just got to figure out how to get there. So that was key.
Yeah, I love that. And just so you guys know, I'm also a very shy person who is still an introvert. And it took me, I guess, to realize to actually formulate a vision for myself that was one of the things that got me out of my shyness. And I think shyness really happens because you don't exactly know who you are in a clear way. Once you know who you are, it becomes a lot easier because you're so convicted in your beliefs and your values and your vision that you can be more bold.
Yep, absolutely. And I heard it said, if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to like where you end up. So you have to really know where you're going. And I think it really helps us. It gives us that courage and that boldness, if you will. And it certainly has helped in my life. Before we get into the next, by the way, community, I appreciate everyone on here. People that have never been on the show. If you see we put a hashtag, that means if you want, you don't have to, but put in the comments, hashtag, whatever we put up. Okay. We love your engagement, and we want you to put questions, comments, and whatever, anything you have. We want to honor you and be on here. Right. So we have David Cross on here. We appreciate you. Christopher Sanchez, Jen, he wanted you to know. Yeah, right. And the amazing Yolanda Chin, she is incredible, a member of our show, and just love having you on here. And Clifford's on with us as well. And, we got Michael chiming in with vision. Christopher's, checking in. She helped me tremendously. She's simply the best. Love that. Appreciate a little testimony going on there. And I'm not getting sound. Okay. I'm not sure. Maybe you need to come back in and come out. I'm not sure what's going on there, but Kim, he likes to be called Kim, is joining us from Kenya. And of course, I'm not going to read all that, Anthony, but appreciate you as well. And just got a lot going on there. Anyway, let's get into it. All right, let's talk about purpose. So community, type in hashtag purpose and let's talk about it. Right. So what daily habits, and I love the book, Atomic Habits, right? Which talks about habit stacking, but what daily habits or practices help you stay aligned with your deeper sense of purpose? So
for me specifically, I have certain non-negotiables. I think for everybody, it can be kind of different. There's definitely a spiritual aspect as one of mine. That's prayer. That's really staying aligned to, again, that purpose that I feel I was created to have through God. So that's definitely number one. Physical activity, 45 minutes minimum every single day. again, that is more for, yes, a fit body, but also mental clarity. If I am not working out on a daily basis, I feel it mentally for sure. Nurturing a relationship, intentionally nurturing a relationship that maybe is not your typical one, like not your kids, not your spouse, not your partner, but like something different, network connection or something to that degree. And I think one very bold professional move every single day that really moves the needle, something you don't have to do, but something that you should do that can move the needle professionally. And then just taking in some extra knowledge, whether that's through a podcast, 10 pages of a book, or something like that. Those are my 5 non-negotiables daily.
I was waiting. It was a cliffhanger. You said one thing, and I guess that could vary in each person, right? It's not the one thing, right? I thought you were going to say meeting a stranger every day. I thought you were going to go into my camp for a moment there. You know?
No, but that's a really, really, really good idea. And if I were able to walk the streets like you guys probably do, like I live in Dallas, so it's in the suburbs, so I can't do that. But that would be one of my non-negotiables as well.
Well, just so you know, I don't walk the streets. I'm in the suburbs as well.
Okay.
I go to places on purpose, like I said, right? Like to places where people are, right? And like gyms and things like that. So, but yeah, that's awesome. So
I love when you talk about these non-negotiables, Jennifer. First of all, prayer is highly, highly underrated. I got to tell you, coming from a former life of being clueless and scared and really trying to find my way, and coming to a point, like, by the way, you said earlier, something that what leads to the confidence is something like knowing who you are, something like that, is so true. But to have that gratitude, and for me, it's prayer. Before my feet hit the floor in the morning, before I get into bed at night. And it really keeps me grounded, so I know what's actually important. Because here's one thing I've found. This is for the audience everywhere. I just turned 58. Here's one thing I found it to be the truest truth ever, that we're in control of nothing. Right? So you're not in control of anything. You're in control of what you do, right? And you give thanks for everything you have and thanks for everything you're going to have. And let me tell you something. It keeps me humble. No matter what success we've experienced in our lives. I got a tremendous marriage, amazing kids. All I could do is just be open to more of the same and realize I didn't make it happen. It's just maybe by something, maybe I treated some people right somewhere along the lines, you know?
So I got a good friend of mine. I just want to share this real quick, and I'm not going to say who he is, but a really good friend. And he recently told me he had some medical stuff. I'll just say the C word, right? And he was a big, and I can relate, right? And there's a lot of men on here today. You might relate to control freaks, right? Like, if there's an issue, if it's to be, it's up to me. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to figure it out, And he said it humbled him. He said for the first time in his whole entire life that he didn't have control. And, it was a wake-up call to, like, you know what? I need to, give it up to God, higher power, universe. We call it God, right? So just something I just want to share. But I do want to say welcome, Jerome, Jody, credible friend in the house here. So appreciate you in a big way. But let's keep it moving here. So, the next topic is on intuition. So community, type in #intuition. And which, by the way, I know women are known to have intuition. Guys, that's counterintuitive, if you will. But I want to hear your perspective. So how could people learn to trust their intuition when logic and fear are pulling them in opposite directions?
Yeah, well, what you just said about your friend and having that sense of control and kind of surrendering, I think that's a good segue into this topic, actually. Yeah. I think, first of all, you're right. Women do have way better intuition than men. That's definitely hands down a fact. But I think it's very true. I think, though, intuition, we need to be able to surrender ourselves to, what for me, it's God. Some people, it's a higher power. I think the belief in something higher is definitely important, even if you don't believe in God, because surrendering yourself to that helps you get through the pain, the struggles, having that hope in something else transcends what is going on in those fleeting moments of life. And as far as intuition, I have slapped my intuition in the face more times than I can count. And it's always led me to make terrible, terrible decisions, devastating decisions. But it's because as a people pleaser, especially, I would take red flags, justify them. I would make things my fault. I would always kind of bend my way of thinking to make it to where something seemed plausible to me that probably shouldn't happen, but I wanted it to happen. Yeah. When you actually take the time to be still with your thoughts, with yourself, with God, and you can actually listen to what's going on, your intuition, your gut feeling, I believe is the Holy Spirit. It is never, ever wrong. Trust it 100% of the time. And I know that's sometimes hard because we second guess and we overanalyze, but it's never wrong. Never.
I don't, this is not talked about enough. And I'm going to tell you, I found that exact thing to be true is even though I was clueless and fearful, I was still attempting to make things happen, to control the outcome I wanted the way I thought it should be. And what I did learn is, and this happens still to this day, it's been happening for decades. When I have that inner nudging, it may happen once and I may notice it, but dismiss it. When it happens twice, I pay attention. If it happens a third time, I don't question everything else. I go in that direction. And you are right, Jennifer. 100% of the time, it has proved after a period of time to be the right thing, to be the right path, to be the right decision. Because the whole idea of that, you're saying, you fought back against it. Well, that's where the faith comes in, right? You have faith that, okay, I'm going this way. I don't know why. It's not what I thought I wanted. But then again, it brought me to the ultimate thing that I always wanted, which usually, ends up in more happiness or more abundance. But yeah, that inner nudging, people don't ignore that gut feel. People call gut feeling, call it what you want. When it comes from here or down in here versus here, go with it.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things I'll say is that, when you get that, and by the way, it gets hard sometimes. And Jennifer, maybe you relate to this, maybe not, but often as a sort of a introvert, if you will, somebody who's maybe a little cautious and calculating, if you look at disc profile, have a lot of C in me, right? So that cautious calculating part. And sometimes the instinct can be, maybe it's not the right instinct. It's fear, which by the way, if you're into the faith journey, fear and faith don't exist in the same time, in the same place and time and space. They're not meant to. And so sometimes it's hard to hear and feel that is it fear speaking to you, or is it right? Because I've had some people say, I didn't get on the plane because I got this feeling like I was not supposed to get on a plane. Okay, is it God or is it fear? We don't know, right? So sometimes it's tough. But I will say in general, other than that extreme example, just move, right? Faith without works is dead. Just move. And then God can steer. He can't steer a car. So you just got to move, and then he can direct you once you move a little bit. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I'm not sure if you have a thought on there.
Yeah, you're right. And yes, you're right. Faith requires action, right? So you have to have the belief in the action to make anything happen. You can't just sit on your couch and wait for things to happen. As far as fear, though, I think fear can also mean that it is something you're supposed to chase after. If you think about the story of Abraham, he didn't find his purpose until he was in his 70s. And he was terrified because he was living such a comfortable, wealthy, well-to-do life. And he had, everything set for the rest of his life. Like, why would you ever want anything different at that point in your life? Right. But God called him to his purpose in his 70s. And he had to give up everything that he had worked for and he was comfortable with. That had to have been very scary. So I think sometimes fear can work as a nudge, like to your point, Rob, it can be a nudge to actually move. Also.
See that, Rob? There's hope for us because we're not 70 yet. We're almost there.
I know.
Oh man, that's awesome. We appreciate that. So here's a we want to get into this a little bit. So community, type in #values, right? Because I think when it comes to value, there's values, but there's also truth. And I think people in the world we live in today, truth is what's convenient for you, right? Versus what's really the truth, right? And so there's really some debate on that, and I'm sure we all have opinions on that. But here's the question based on values. So in what ways does your moral compass serve as a grounding force when faced with tough choices?
Yeah, so this is where the word ethos comes to mind. You have to have a very structured ethos, which is your moral code, your integrity, your consistency, your discipline, no matter what is happening. This is your protocol for life. And values come into play as well. Like I always say, I did not know myself. Like Socrates says, know thyself. That's really, really important. I didn't know myself until I was in my 30s. And again, being very, very clear on the things that you believe in, the things that you stand for, the things that you will boldly speak out against and for. And this is honoring yourself, honoring God, what God has created for you, and honoring the people that you impact in a very consistent and bold way. I think this is really important. And yes, like we live in a society of cancel culture, and people are terrified of speaking their minds because, well, I might get fired, or this person may hate me, or this person's on the right, or this person's on the left, so they may not be friends with me anymore. But I think no matter what side you're on, I think something that we learned from Charlie Kirk's assassination is that we are supposed to have conversations with people, especially with people who don't agree with us. This helps us, when you seek to understand and you also know yourself well enough to communicate that and like get to understand each other better, I think the world is just a better place.
And Jennifer, when we talk about these values, these foundations, right, of how we conduct ourselves and how it builds an inner strength, you made me think of, I talk about core values a lot because as a brand strategist, core values factor into a brand. Company, person, doesn't matter. But they're vitally important. People dismiss them as things like, oh, these things that are important to me. And what you said earlier, I don't hear a lot of people understanding. Non-negotiables. For instance, audience, one of my non-negotiables, one of my core values is harmony. If I don't have harmony in a relationship, and there's no way for me to get it because the other person just won't, it's done. I move away from that. If I don't have harmony, I have this conflict inside. I have anxiety. I have stress. And so I remove that. I need harmony. And so that is a non-negotiable. And that means that if I have a client who I'm not in harmony with, who they're bucking against me, maybe they're being a little gone. I fire the client. I've had to get rid of clients because there's just not a harmony there. Money without a lot of this fulfillment that people are actually seeking is not worth it.
I totally agree. And I think that's part of why we're here as humans, is to find fulfillment. And fulfillment can't be found without the purpose you were created to have. And your purpose that you were created to have always comes from something that is going to make an impact on people. And what that is usually, I think I heard it said one time, and I don't remember who said it, but if you take a look at your deepest, darkest moments in life, your purpose will probably be born from there. And I think that's a really good, which can kind of fit and mold into whatever you want it to be. And it obviously evolves consistently, but I think the meaning of life is to find that purpose that you were uniquely created to have.
No doubt. Well, listen, I wish this show was like an hour long at least, because we can just go on for at least another half hour at least. So more the reason why the community, you need to reach out to Jennifer. So Jennifer, I know you have something you want to offer the community, and what's the best way to reach as we run the show down here?
Yeah, so I do have something to offer. I have a subscription service. I have video lessons and one-on-one sessions that I do with clients. And I have 2 tiers. I'm offering half off of either of those for the next month. So that would be awesome. Get in contact with me there. And as far as where you can find me, I'm on LinkedIn, Jennifer Jehl, and also Instagram at jen.yale.
Yep, definitely connect with Jennifer for sure. So appreciate you big time. You're amazing. And thank
Honored
you
to
for
be here.
bringing all the incredible knowledge and wisdom and understanding with you, as well as an amazing community that followed you here. So we appreciate you big time. So we'll see you in the green room in a few. Thank you,
Thank you so
Jennifer.
much.
All right. Awesome. Well, amazing. Well, listen, if you like that, you're going to like next week. We have Larry Long Jr. Larry is a ball of energy. I've had coffee with Larry. I've met him multiple times. Incredible speaker. How to have your best year ever with Larry Long. It's gonna be great. Next week, episode 235 on the 29th. Don't miss it, okay? And if you're interested in learning how to, sponsor a show like Mr. Russ Hedge does, go to masterconnector.show. And if you're interested in being a guest, remember we are very, very picky. We only bring the best of best. Not saying you're not the best, but we are very picky. But go to masterconnector.show and you can learn more about that. And thank you everyone for getting in the comments. I didn't get a chance to acknowledge everyone, David, and appreciate you, and Jody, and just amazing. So, but hey, I want to finish up with a quick thing to say. Listen, in this world that we live in, and a lot of times I have a story to tell. I don't have a person to bring out this time around, but in this world we live in, I know she mentioned Charlie, and listen, whether you're a Charlie Kirk supporter or not, listen, we need to be in a world where we're bringing light to people. So I just say, look for the best in people. Look for the light in people. Look for the good in people. Be a good finder, not a hater, right? Always look for the good. And if you do that, I believe the world will be great. So let's bring in that light, and we'll see you next week. God bless.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives